By the time Robert Jensen realized he had made the mistake, the money was already gone. Not stolen, not hacked, not invested in the wrong stock. Gone because of one tiny box he never meant to check. Robert was 66 years old, 38 years with the same employer. He believed retirement had finally arrived. Instead, a decision he made in less than 30 seconds would quietly erase nearly $400,000 from his family's future. And nobody stopped him. Not his employer, not the pension office, not even the financial representative sitting across the table. If you're over 50, this story may be more important than any investment advice you'll hear this year, because somewhere in America, Canada, Britain, Australia, thousands of workers sign retirement paperwork every month without realizing one form, one election, one innocent checkbox can become permanent, and permanent decisions have a way of outliving regret. Dayton, Ohio, March 2026. Robert Jensen walked out of the manufacturing plant carrying a cardboard box. Inside were photographs, coffee mugs, 38 years of memories. His wife Linda was waiting in the parking lot.
"How does it feel?"
she asked. Robert smiled.
"Feels like freedom."
Freedom. That word would haunt him later. Robert had done everything right. He worked overtime, skipped vacations, delayed retirement twice. He and Linda weren't wealthy, but they were careful. The pension alone would provide just enough stability to keep the lights on and the stress away. At least that was the plan. 3 days later, Robert attended his retirement benefits meeting. There were forms, booklets, disclosures, election packets, pages and pages of language that sounded important but felt impossible to understand. Then the representative pointed to one section. Just choose your payment option here. One section, 3 checkboxes. Robert remembered staring at them. Single life option, joint survivor option, reduced benefit option. He asked a simple question.
"Which one do most people choose?"
The representative smiled. Most take the higher monthly payment. Higher monthly payment. Those 4 words changed everything. Robert checked the box beside single life option. His monthly pension immediately increased by almost $600. It felt like winning. Linda even joked about taking a cruise. What Robert didn't fully understand was hidden in 6 words buried inside the document. Payments end upon participant death. Not spouse, participant, him. If Robert died first, Linda would receive nothing. No continuation, no survivor payment, no safety net. 38 years of pension contributions would disappear with him. He later admitted something painful.
"I thought the pension belonged to us."
It didn't. Not anymore. Because the checkbox had changed the rules. Forever. 9 months later. Robert collapsed while shoveling snow. The diagnosis arrived quickly. Aggressive heart disease. His daughter Emily drove him home from the hospital. Neither spoke during the ride. Finally, she asked,
"Dad, Mom will be okay financially, right?"
Robert answered immediately.
"Of course."
He believed it. 2 weeks later, Emily sat with Linda at the kitchen table while they reviewed paperwork. That was when Emily stopped turning pages.
"Mom."
Silence. Another page. Another silence.
"Mom, I don't think this pension continues."
Linda frowned.
"What do you mean continues?"
Emily looked up. Her face had changed.
"Mom, the payments stop if Dad dies."
Linda laughed. Actually laughed.
"No, they don't.
Another silence.
They have to continue."
Then came the sentence that changed the room.
"No, they don't."
The pension office scheduled an appointment. Robert, Linda, their son Michael. Across the table sat pension specialist Karen Mitchell. Karen was kind, professional, careful with every word. Robert asked a question.
Can I change it?
Karen looked down, then back up.
No.
The room became very quiet.
What do you mean, no?
Karen explained the election period had expired months earlier. Federal pension rules made the decision irrevocable. Irrevocable, another word that sounds harmless until it belongs to you. Michael leaned forward.
There has to be an exception.
Karen shook her head.
There isn't.
Robert stared at the paperwork, the same paperwork he signed in less than 30 seconds. He wasn't angry, not yet. He was confused. Then came the anger, not at Karen, not at the company, at himself. Robert became obsessed. He read every document again, every paragraph, every disclosure, every footnote. The information had been there, technically, legally, practically hidden beneath jargon and assumptions. He replayed the meeting over and over.
Why didn't I ask more questions? Why didn't I bring Linda? Why didn't someone explain this differently?
The hardest question came at 3 in the morning.
What happens to her after I'm gone?
Retirement stopped feeling like freedom. It became a countdown. Linda noticed it first. He stopped talking about travel, stopped talking about fishing, stopped talking about retirement at all. Instead, he started apologizing for something that hadn't happened yet.
Then something unexpected happened. Karen called, not because the pension could be fixed, because there was still time to build another safety net. Karen introduced Robert to estate attorney David Rosen. David helped restructure savings, adjust insurance coverage, protect Linda's future in other ways. Not perfect solutions, but real ones. For the first time in months, Robert slept through the night. Sometimes financial disasters don't end with rescue. Sometimes they end with adaptation. That matters too, because regret becomes dangerous when people believe they're powerless. Robert wasn't powerless. He was late. There is a difference. Today, Robert still keeps a copy of that pension form. Folded, worn, marked by coffee stains and years of handling. He calls it the most expensive piece of paper he ever signed. Not because of the money, because of what it taught him. Questions are cheaper than assumptions. Retirement decisions are rarely about numbers. They're about survivors, about spouses, about futures we may never personally see. And sometimes, the biggest financial disasters don't arrive as crashes or scams or fraud. Sometimes they arrive disguised as paperwork, waiting quietly inside a checkbox you only notice after it's too late. So tonight, before you sign anything, before you choose the option everyone else chooses, before you assume someone else already explained the risks, ask one more question, then ask another, because Robert Jensen would give anything for one more question. And if this story made you think of someone, a spouse, a brother, a coworker preparing for retirement, send it to them, not because they're careless, because sometimes the smallest boxes cast the longest shadows.